Are you stressed out this holiday season, even dreading the holidays? Is it because you have a toxic family dynamic and you're dreading the fact of having to deal with them over the holiday season? If that's the case, you can't miss this video. Hi friends, I'm glad to be back today, and today we're going to be talking about toxic families over the holidays. Okay, some of you don't know if you want to go or if you don't want to go. Either way, we have to do an assessment of the situation to understand the family dynamic, okay? To make the right choices this year instead of doing the same thing we've done in the past and getting the same horrible, painful results. Okay, let's jump right in. We're going to ask some questions and do an assessment of the family dynamic so we understand exactly what we're getting into this year, aka how to not get your ass kicked this year. Okay, are we ready? So the first question I want you to ask yourself is, how was the experience last year? Okay, really think about it. How did it go last year? What was the situation like? What was the temperament? What was the mood? Okay, how long were you able to stay? Did you stay too long? Did you stay too little? Was there a better situation that you could have put yourself in? Could you have sat next to different people and it had different results? I want you to really focus on that, because oftentimes what happens is we're so overwhelmed and stressed out about the situation that we walk in, it's almost like we, just like give it all away. We walk in, we don't know how to deal with it, we don't know how to act, and so we just kind of fall into that submissive pattern of letting people beat up on us, when in reality we can actually put ourselves in the power position if we really assess the situation, almost like a chess game prior to our arrival. The second question that I want you to ask yourself sincerely was, who was the toughest individual that you had to deal with last season? Okay, really think about that. Who was the toughest person in your family that you had to deal with? And why were they tough? What was the dynamic like? Okay, could the questions have been different? Could you have actually pulled back from the conversation? Could you have actually put up kind of a wall or a boundary with that person to make it better? Or could you have avoided them completely? In certain situations, obviously, depending on who they are to you, complete avoidance is almost impossible. But there's definitely a way of limiting the communication and the interaction, especially if there's going to be several people there that can be a buffer zone. The third question to ask yourself is, have you had any conversations and communications with these people since last year's situation? Okay. I ask this question because sometimes after the situation happens, we're able to clear the air. Sometimes we're able to be on the phone and set boundaries. But oftentimes we actually leave it with no communication and we wait until the very moment to start the conversation when we're there. Okay? And I found that that can be very tricky, and it's not very healthy as well, because we left this cliffhanger there for last year, and now we're going to basically jump back on the cliffhanger again this year. Not a good idea. So I ask you, have you had any communication? And if you haven't, have you really thought about a way to open the lines of communication so maybe some of the conversation could be hashed out, and maybe you can create some boundaries on the phone properly prior to your arrival this year? Okay, number 4. This is a good one. What were the triggers that you dealt with last year? Let me give you some examples of some things that I've heard at the dinner table over the holidays, and some things that I've heard other clients tell me about what they've dealt with over the holidays, because it might spark, a memory from last year. Okay, first off, you remember when you used to be an alcoholic, right? And you had that problem drinking and you couldn't get help. You remember that? Or better yet, well, at least you're sober now, but remember when you weren't sober and how you ruined Christmas for everybody last year and the year before last? Always very fun, okay? Also, I think it might have been that same year that you got that boob job. I think that might have been it. Or it could have been the year that you got the nose job as well. Or that might have been the time when John left you, when I guess was he screwing his secretary? Or were they working? Were they in the same? Maybe they were both managers. I don't remember. And the list goes on, okay? A good example as well is that you love certain foods. So maybe you love potato salad. Maybe you like the sweet potatoes, for example. That might be something you like. And you have a big time allergy to nuts. And everybody knows that you have an allergy to nuts and you can't eat anything with nuts, but you arrived last year and all of your favorite dishes had nuts on it and you couldn't have them. That's another trigger as well. And I've had some interesting experiences personally with the way I responded, and I've had some clients respond in some not so good ways either. Another example is getting those gifts from the tree where everybody's sitting there if you are celebrating a holiday that is exchanging gifts. And you might be a medium, and instead of getting a medium, you get an extra large because you're really large, which you're not. Or you might be a larger person and they buy you a extra small. Okay, and as you hold it up, it looks like it's a child's t-shirt, right? Okay, yeah, definitely trigger points. And if any of these remind you of last year, how did you respond? Who was the person that made the comment? Who was the person that gave the gift that was obviously a backhanded, well, just kind of a put down? And really think about that. And as you take that into consideration, that might be somebody that you need to have a conversation with, or that might be somebody that you want to limit your communication with because you know they're obviously out to get you somehow because otherwise they wouldn't be putting you down in this situation. And number 5, and this is a positive thing, who do you want to see the most this holiday season who's in your family? Okay? Because there's got to be one person at least that you truly like, that you get along with, that you can have a conversation with, and that, you know, it's not some sort of toxic deal going on. Okay, this is important to figure out who that person is. Maybe you have a couple of those people. I consider them allies, okay? So figure out who is your ally. Who's the ally that you have in the family dynamic? Who is the person that you can sit next to? Who is the person that you can have the conversation with? And what I think is a great thing to do is oftentimes we don't talk to our family a lot sometimes in between the holidays because, I don't know why, but that's something we do. Getting on the phone, reaching out, maybe texting that person and just seeing how they're doing, starting the communication prior to the holiday event. And so when you do arrive to the house where everybody is, you can start that conversation and you have a good dialogue already, which allows you to have a safe and happy person to talk to during this time and somebody that you can actually probably grow a really nice friendship with. Number 6, and on the flip-flop, who do you not want to see and why? Is there somebody that's going to be there that you just do not want to deal with, that you can't stand, that literally pushes every single one of your buttons, that's completely toxic, and that really just does everything they can to try to trigger you? Okay? Who is that person? And I think one of the good things that you can do is begin to even journal about this, because when we finally get our thoughts out of our head, we can actually think clearly about the situation, right? So journal about how do they trigger me and why is it that I don't want to see them, okay? And if they really truly are truly toxic, you got to create a buffer zone if you're going to attend this holiday festivity at the home, okay? But there's definitely a power position to be in somehow, okay? We're not the victim. Okay, even though we have been indoctrinated our whole life in a toxic environment to be the victim, it's time not to be the victim anymore. So let's go on and really think about who is that person and why do I not want to see them and what happens every time with this person, and is there a way around it that I don't fall into the same trap, okay? I can safeguard myself, come out, somewhat unscathed, right? And try to, create some sort of power. Number 7, the question that I'm sure that you've already asked yourself, do I actually need to go? Is it highly imperative that I'm there? I mean, what's going to happen if I don't show up? On the flip side, sometimes dealing with difficult situations is good for us, okay? I'm not saying that every one of these dynamics is something that you want to subject yourself to. And I think that if you've really gone through the assessment so far, I think you can really analyze and understand if it's something that you need to put yourself into. Really quick, a caveat. If you've made a huge life change, like you've become sober after years of alcohol or drug addiction, if you've gone through a painful divorce, there's certain things that, if you are triggered by a toxic family, you really need to assess, are you ready to walk into this, okay? So what I'm saying is really assess and think about this, but also on the flip side, if you can deal with it, this can be a powerful way of getting out of the victim mentality and becoming powerful in your own life. Number 8, if you don't go to the event, how guilty will you feel from not doing what you've always done? Okay, we're trained, right? We're trained to do the same thing over and over again, and when we divert from that, we feel guilty or shame because we're not doing what we think we need to do, right? Perhaps it's because we've always done the right thing. We've always been the best child or the family member, and we've also been a people pleaser, maybe a little bit of codependency there. And we were raised that way. It's a historical reference, right? Even if a mother, father, sister, or brother was mean or toxic to us, we kept getting back into the same situation because we did not know how to put up the boundaries. We didn't know how to stick up for ourselves. We even feel maybe guilty sticking up for ourselves. Have you ever fallen into that pattern as well? Is that you have been the victim for so long that when you finally decide to stick up for yourself, you feel bad about that too? Okay? So I really want you to analyze how much guilt that you feel if you don't go, or if you do go. But where is the guilt coming from? And can you really kind of delve into the feeling of guilt? And do you realize that, to me, I believe it's a fear-based situation that really holds no water. So I want you to investigate that guilt and also ask yourself, how much of things do I do that I don't want to do, but I do it because I just feel guilty about not doing it? And number 9, you still have time to make the choice that you want to make. You have time to make this assessment. You have time to really analyze the situation. And you have time to choose to go, and you have time to choose not to go, okay? So remember, you have enough time right now to make the decision that you want to make, and to make an honest and knowledgeable decision based on how you feel, based on what you want, what you're going to deal with, and your new thoughts on the assessment. Okay, so I wanted to do this video with you having enough time to make the decision, so it's not a snap decision that's made overnight and then you feel guilt or shame, or you feel like you should have been there or you shouldn't have been there. You have enough time to really think and focus on it and put you in that power position. So at this point in time, I hope that you're able to make that assessment on your family, the holidays, the dynamics, the guilt. And you might need to watch this video a couple times to go back over it. And I really suggest starting a journal and writing this stuff down, because it'll really help you to digest it, to really see it logically, and to see it in writing. Because that makes it so important for us to understand why we feel a certain way, or to see a way out of it, or to see something that we can do that we haven't done that might be right in front of our face the whole time. The holidays can be an amazing time of year, except when you're dealing with the toxic family dynamic and you're not prepared. Okay, so you have to have that plan. You got to know where you stand. You got to know the situation, and you got to understand what's the best thing for you. Okay, because that's what it comes down to. Because the thing is in life is that, yeah, a lot of times we feel guilty for not doing things that we've done over and over again, but sometimes the things that we've done over and over again might not actually be what's healthy for us. But we have to determine that. And sometimes some difficult situations are learning tools as well. So you got to see both sides. The next video that I'm going to be doing, which is part 2 of the holidays with toxic family, is the fact that you've chosen to go. You decided that you're going to go. And it's how to really mitigate that. How to deal with it. How to really get ready. And how, when you're in the situation, what to do, what not to do. Even subjects to avoid and subjects to maybe talk about. Okay? Because remember, it's like a chess game. If there are people that you want to see and there are people you don't want to see, you need to know who that is, and you need to strategically place yourself in the right position so that you enjoy the best of what's offered there and leave the other stuff off to the side. Okay? Because this is your holiday season as well, and you deserve to enjoy it. Oh, and by the way, if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, please do. And if you want to, share this video out with folks that you think might actually benefit from it, because I'm sure most of us have at least one person in our family that is kind of toxic, we just don't get along with, and this can benefit them to have a merrier, happier holiday season. And in the meantime, don't forget to continue to live your true life.